uh, backend SQL Server. We created a database and then created a table. Inside table, we provided some example data, and then in front end, we design a page, ASP.NET Web Form page, and when we created one solution in ASP.NET Web Form, we saw, we created a page called home.aspx, and then we saw the difference and utilization of all the three partial pages it creates. So it created a class called home when we named the page as home, and both become partial class, that is aspx.cs and aspx.designer.cs. Alright, so aspx will hold all the design stuff, client side design stuff. However, your aspx.cs, where is that? This is the one. So aspx.cs will have the coding related to those design. Like button I designed in the ASPX, however, on click of the button, what exactly to do, that we decided in the aspx.cs. Whichever controls you are designing, like text box, radio button, etc., those will have some ID. So those ID will be declared in the designer.aspx.cs. That part we don't do. We design the text box. The moment you design the text box, and suppose you give the ID of the text box as T1, then that T1 will automatically declare here. So T1 declared here automatically, and T1 will be used here in the coding. That's why all the properties related to controls will be kept in the designer.aspx.cs. However, all the coding related to those controls will be kept in the aspx.cs. This is also called code behind, guys. Coding behind the page. That's why we say it as code behind. Then we came to connect. That means we design one form, one page in one hand, and we design one database in other hand, and we try to connect between both of them so that MS SQL Server will have some data. That data should be fetched by C#, and it should be binded to ASPX. For that, we used one control called grid view. Grid view means one tabular content of the data on the screen. In layman's language, it is a table. Technically, in ASP.NET, we say it as a grid view. So we designed a grid view, and then we fetch the data from the database with the help of C#, and we binded that. To do that, we have some 4 steps of approaches to be followed up, and we followed those 4 steps and then completed the work. So that is called fetching the data and binding with the grid view with the help of something called ADO.NET. ADO means ActiveX Data Object connectivity. So there are some ActiveX libraries they have put inside ADO.NET, and then those library are nothing but the bunch of classes. Those classes we have to use and then complete the work. So if you have seen last class, we used 4 classes. One is SQL connection, step number 1, that takes the path of the SQL server. We say it as connection string. Second is SQL command, that drives the command part. Command means the query, like select star from table name we used last class. Data table means the container part. When data is coming from database, it has to hold it, then it will decide, okay, I have to display on the screen or I have to make some calculation or whatever. But first of all, data has to be content, so use data table. SQL data adapter. SQL data adapter says when front end decided, back end decided, command to be executed decided, data table is waiting for collecting the data. Now rest thing is connecting between front end to back end and doing the task. So that activity will be done by SQL data adapter. Okay, so in these three steps, chances there you might have done some mistake, like database server name you wrongly wrote, or command you wrongly wrote. Instead of select star from students, suddenly that select spelling mistake you did, whatever mistake you did, like data table wrongly you created, but they will not show any error in these three steps, because those are all initializing only the value to the respective object. But when those values will be executed in step number 4, then only you may get some error. So based on the error, you will come to know that my connection string is wrong, or my command is wrong, or maybe my data table is not instantiated, or something wrong with data table. So it will clearly show the message through exception message. So 4 steps are there definitely, but 4th step only it knocks the door of the database. So you can see here those 4 steps, command wise we wrote, and then we paste the data and displayed it. Let's run it once more. Yep. Yes. Class will be different, but steps are same, you can say. Like SQL server, so you used SQL command, SQL connection, SQL data adapter, and so on. So if it will be Oracle, it may be OLEDB connection, OLEDB command, and so on. So we are going to learn here SQL server. So we used library related to SQL server. But steps when we say same. Forget about .NET. If you go to Java, also steps are same. If you go to PHP, also steps are same. So name of the class or name of the class library may be different, but when we say steps, yes, it is same. Okay. So now next is we have to pass the data from front end to back end. That is called inserting the data. Okay. Fetch the data, insert the data, update the data, delete the data. So there are 4 major operations, guys. Let me tell you a little about that. We say it as CRUD operation. So we say it as CRUD operation. Not only we say, it is industry terminology. Out of C is called creating records actually, which you have not done. Today we'll do creating new records in database, right? R says retrieve the data from database, retrieve the data from the database. This U says update the data in database, update the existing data. Maybe yesterday I entered it, but maybe some mistake. Today we are updating it. Or just now you submitted the data, but wrongly some spelling mistake or something you did, you want to update it. Update means modification. Then something called delete the data. Delete the record. So imagine last class what kind of database we worked with actually. Say student data, for example. So you have some 10 records of students. Imagine you want to say one student no more useful in our database. Delete it. Okay, so we have something called delete operation. So this is called CRUD operation. To fulfill all these operations, because these are all the major operations, any transaction, any business transaction happened with one or more of these four operations. Somebody will say insert it, then update it. Somebody will say insert it, then fetch and display to me. Somebody will say delete it and then fetch and display whether it is deleted or not. So one or more operations usually out of these four we say it as business transaction. Okay, so sales transaction, purchase transaction. What do you mean? Sales transaction means it is some one or more operations of this CRUD to complete a sales item. Okay, when I say sales transaction, maybe first I will fetch and display how many items are there. Then I sold one to my customer. The moment I sold, I will enter that okay, I sold so and so item, so and so quantity. That is called insert into database. Then suddenly your customer came and said, hey, this material is not good, please take it back. Then already purchase transaction was done, then you went and then updated it, modified it, right? That is called update operation. So any business transaction in this world is combination of one or more operations out of these four. So it is our first responsibility to understand each and every item. So out of this one, second one we already did, fetch and display. So today we'll see how to insert a new record, then how to update existing record, and how to delete a record, and so on. But all these operations we divided into two category of the transaction. One is called connected architecture. Connected architecture. This is called ADO.NET architecture. ADO.NET architecture. So one is connected architecture and one is disconnected architecture. Connected architecture and disconnected architecture. What is the technical difference? Practically we will see, but this is called some theoretical concept, but you should understand. Let me go again to the paintbrush, you will understand better. I will draw something and show you. So this is your front end and this is your back end, suppose. When you say connected architecture, let me write the heading connected architecture. Connected architecture means your connection establishment between front end and back end will be like this. Imagine 10:30 you came and want to fetch the data from back end and display in the front end, just like yesterday we did. So you came and through your coding you just connected between front end and back end like this. So connected architecture says, should I make it separate color so that it will be look good, you can understand. So this is some other thing called connection. This is front end, this is back end, this is connection, say. So what is the technical activity behind this connected architecture is, when you wanted the transaction to happen, your connection established. Connection means this object actually, line number 18. Okay, which is carrying which database, which server, what user ID, what password. Okay, so that is called connection. So connection will be established. Then it will check what is that command. Four things total, right? Connection, command, container of the data, and then establish the connection and do the work. Four steps, four classes. So first it will connect it like this. How I have done. It's a regular connection. Imagine you are fetching the data and displaying. Any one work you consider, you will understand. Imagine you are fetching the data and displaying. And here suppose you have 100 records here. Let's say you have some 100 records here. I believe all of you know what is record, what is column. Column field means vertically we consider. A record means horizontally we consider. Okay. So if you see our database, I will tell you how many columns, how many fields. Our database name is October 2020. So here we have a table called dbo.students. If you open this, right click and select, then it will run a command select star from table name and it will give you the data. So in this case, how many fields and how many rows? Records. Each row is record, each column is field. So I must say there are 5 fields and 3 records. That we are talking here, records. 100 records are there in my database. I establish the connection regularly like this. Then what will happen? This will collect the data one by one and pass on to the front end one by one. First record came, displayed it. Second record came, displayed it. Third record came, displayed it, and so on. Okay. So as long as these 100 records completed, not completed, this connection will be completely established between front end and back end. This kind of things is not visible to our eye, but as a technical person, we have to know what is happening behind the scene. Okay. So imagine it took some 50 microsecond. I'm not talking about second or millisecond. I'm talking about microsecond. Suppose it took some 50 microsecond to transfer these 100 records one by one to front end. It will check if completely work is done as per the coding. All 100 records has been transferred one by one and then binded here, displayed here. Then you disconnect. Disconnect means this line what you see, red color line, which is the connection line, that connectivity will be disconnected now extremely at the end. That is called connected architecture. Till the work is happening, the connection will be established as a connected architecture. That's why we say it as connected architecture. Now think about disconnected architecture. Same work, if somebody is doing by using disconnected architecture, then it will behave like this. Let me keep it little above and I will draw a little below the disconnected architecture. So disconnected architecture, let's say this is the front end. Okay, let it be green color, no problem. This is front end, this is back end. And our technique is suppose disconnected architecture. So in disconnected architecture, what happens? Your connection will be established like this, something like this. Just take it this way. And now you came, say 11 o'clock you came, and you want to fetch the data. It may be fetch the data, it may be insert the data, it may be anything out of 4 operations. Same example I will take, fetch the data. Suppose here also you have 100 records, right? In second case also, let's take you have some 100 records here. And what you wanted is you wanted these 100 records to be fetched and displayed in the front end. So in this, technically what it will do, 11 o'clock sharp you came and you run the program, suppose. So 11 o'clock, this particular disconnected line, what you see, it will suddenly connect it. Then pass the command from here to here. Command means instruction. Okay. Select star from table name, that is a command. Insert into table name, that is a command. So whatever command you want to fire, that command will be passed. So that means 10:30 the situation was like this, 11 o'clock the situation become connected. That means suppose this is not there, think, okay, suddenly this disconnected line connected between front end and back end. How? It become like this. It become like this. Let me complete. So it connected between front end and back end. Okay. Now say around it took 3 seconds. Again I will take the same 50 microseconds. Suppose it took the complete work to fetch the data. That 50 microseconds, this connection, I mean it connected between front end and back end just to transfer your command. Once that command has been transferred to back end, then it disconnected again like this. Okay, because during that 50 microsecond, whatever work is going on there, it doesn't need to engage. Which thing we are talking about? Connection object. Connection object need not to get engaged that whole 50 microsecond. It will say, I might be having more work also. Somebody else or same guy might be asking me to give another command also, who knows? Not necessarily in 50 microsecond, only one command I will serve. I gave you the command, you execute it. You may take some 50 microsecond to execute or so. I will come back once you're done. Like that, this connected architecture, connection object will instruct to backend and it will disconnect. Suddenly during that 50 microsecond, till this query is executing in the backend, imagine you wanted to send one more command. It will say mostly welcome. Give it to me. I'll send it to backend. So you gave command number 2 maybe, if any. If not, then it will be keep silent as a disconnected connection. Now 2 work you have given. At the meantime, suppose your first work finished. Okay, say first work finished. So after giving the second work to backend, it might have already disconnected like this. So it says, I did one small bit of work offering the command. Offering the command means this line. Okay. So I gave you the command, you do it. Don't expect me to be connected regularly during that duration. So now 2 query has come to backend, and at the meantime first query just now completed, suppose, but my connection is in a disconnected mode. So suddenly after one work will be finished by backend, it will say, you have something to give me? to send it to backend? No worry. I connect to you. Give it to me. Then it will transfer the data to front end. So when same transfer of the data was happening in connected architecture, one by one row, it was going and taking, displaying, going and taking, displaying, going and taking, displaying. But here what it did, it says, I gave you the command, you take your time, keep the data ready, I will get back to you to collect whole data packet. So at a time, all 100 records, it transferred from here to here. Then again disconnected. Now second query is still running. Second query is still running. It will say, if front end has some work to give, I will take it by connecting. Then I will disconnect. At the meantime, if backend also wants to give something to me, I will connect, give it to front end and disconnect. So this is the activity of this kind of architecture. Now, who is doing this connect, disconnect, connect, disconnect, connect, disconnect during the all activity? Your SQL data adapter. In yesterday's steps, we have one class called SQL data adapter. But here in connected architecture, there is no connect, disconnect, connect, disconnect, connect, disconnect. It is connect, complete the work, disconnect. So in same connection object, more than one command cannot be executed at the same time. Where? In the connected architecture. But here, in the same connection object, multiple works can also be provided at the same time between front end to back end. Because it says, I am not responsible for completing the work, providing to the other end, then allow the other. I am responsible for multiple work. So I gave one work, you do it. Suppose backend gave it to front end, it will say, let it do it. You display it. I don't bother. You may take some 10 microsecond to display it. You do it. I gave it to you, So data packet, it will collect front end to back end or back end to front end as a single data packet. Then it will say, okay, you do it. At the meantime, I am serving other commands. So this is what happening behind. But in a single sentence, what you will say is, in connected architecture, multiple commands cannot run under the same connection object at the same time. However, in disconnected architecture, multiple commands also can run at the same time under the same connection object. Connection object is CON here. Second point, if multiple commands are interdependent, like command number 1 should be completed fully, then command number 2 should execute, because command number 2 is having some dependency on command number 1. Chance is there? Then always you should go for connected architecture. Why? Because one should be comfortably completed, then the other should be connected and do. For example, purchase material, sell material. Imagine today you are starting the work. You have 0 stock. So your sale of the material will be dependent upon purchase of material. Okay. After 1 month of your business, you will say, no, I have already purchased item stock. I am doing sales also parallelly. Then I will ask, what about stock? Maintain stock, suppose one work is there. So will you say maintain stock is independent of purchase and sale? No. If you are purchasing, complete it. Once completed, then you check the stock. If parallelly 2 work you are giving, purchase as well as stock, chances are that stock may be old stock, chances are that stock may be new stock. Like that, one work sometimes dependent upon another work also. If that is the case, then work number 1 should be completed using connected architecture, Then work number 2 should be provided in connected architecture. But sometimes first work and second work, there is no relation, guys. Suppose I have a table called student, I have a table called college. Now somebody says, I want both the table data to be fetched and displayed. Now you tell me, both are not dependent each other. It's not like only if student data is fetched and displayed, then only college data you fetch it. Nothing like that. It is just fetch and display for both. So in such case, first command called select star from student, second command called select star from college, you can fetch and display without any dependency. That is called disconnected architecture. So 2 points you have to remember technically, difference between connected and disconnected. One more small user point of view, one point you remember, that is here SQL data adapter automatically connects and disconnects, but this establish some of the connection in connected architecture, you have to do it manually. Okay, here establish of the connection will be manually. Here establish of the connection again and again, every bit of work will be done by some extra class called SQL data adapter. That means yesterday's work what we did, that is falling under the disconnected architecture. It has seen that most of times fetch and display commands are under disconnected architecture. Most of times, I am not saying always, because fetch and display work are not interdependent most of times. Like I gave the example, fetch the student data, fetch the department data and display it. 2 select command, 3 select command, most of times they are not interdependent. That's why we prefer disconnected architecture in such cases. But again, it depends also. If your task is like, if go to college, if at least one college data is available, then go to student and fetch the data. If that is the case, then it is dependent. Then we will go for connected architecture. So any work that you do using connected architecture, that is also possible in disconnected. Any work you do in disconnected architecture, that is also possible in connected. But what I'm saying is most of times select commands are not interdependent, but insert, update, delete, those commands are little interdependent. That's why most of times insert, update, delete we do through connected, and fetch and display things, select command we do through disconnected. Alright, now you ask the question. Somebody, yep. Disconnected architecture, it says entire work will be divided. Like your work was go to backend, connect the, sorry, go ahead. No, not nothing like that. Nothing scheduled and anything. Only it is a divided work. You pass the command, disconnect it, let the database do its work. Your connection may be busy for some other command as well. Then first work is done, then again it will connect, collect the data, give it to front end, again it will disconnect, something like that. Okay, so most of times multiple commands if you want to run, then you should go for disconnected architecture, and that too, they should not be interdependent. They should not be depending one another. Just like your multi-threading concept, if 2-3 work are independent of each other, why not all at a time we can give one by one, so that in 10 microsecond maybe all 3 might have completed. But connected architecture says if you have interdependent between command number 1 and command number 2, then it's not good idea to go for disconnected architecture. Yesterday we used fetch and display. Okay, when we use fetch and display, most of times it will be disconnected architecture. In fact, since we have only one command called select star from student, there is nothing to think much about interdependent or not interdependent. So straightway go for disconnected architecture, because at least your connection object will be ready to accept any more command, if any. Now today what we are going to do, one architecture already we followed up yesterday. Today we will follow another architecture called connected architecture. So disconnected says SQL data adapter will help you to connect and disconnect, and connected architecture says manually you have to open and close the connection. So how to do manually opening connection, manually closing connection for a command with the help of connected architecture. So let me save this diagram in your folder. That will help you to understand. Connected underscore disconnected. Maybe up to 4-5 years experience, they may not ask you about the architectural methodology, but once you become little senior, they will expect this kind of conceptual stuff from you also. Coding wise, nothing much to think about. It's almost replica of what we did yesterday. But when we say conceptually, what is the work happening internally, that is called architectural detail. So they may expect once you become little senior. So connected architecture for creating new records we will be using today. So let's go to solution. Here also 4 steps, there are also 4 steps. Only thing is, instead of SQL data adapter, which is automatically connecting and disconnecting behind the scene, you have to open and close the connection manually. We'll see how this last step is differing in connected architecture. So what I will do, I will design a button here, guys. Come to design area, ASPX. What I want is, I will have a form. Chalo, let's not disturb the home.aspx. I will create one more screen altogether. What is happening? So let me create one more page altogether for inserting the data, so that you will not confuse much. I will name this page as student registration, suppose. Registration. Makes sense? One page is fetch and display student detail. One page is insert the student detail. Let me write here the heading, something like students registration. So here today, since we don't have much idea about much items like radio button, drop down, text box, etc. So we will see we will try to use various controls like radio button, drop down, etc. And we will also try to take care the insertion. So imagine student's name, we can take a text box. Okay, imagine father's name, we can take a text box. Imagine course name, we can take a drop down, assuming that any one course student will do. Imagine you have the rule 2 courses also, 3 courses also do. Then it can be checkbox list. Like that you can plan something out. So parallelly, why not we will try to learn various controls, and intention is inserting the data from front end to back end. So quickly let's make some controls here, and we'll have a button finally that will help us to take the data and save it. We may not take all the controls, but at least 3 to 4 controls we will take. One control I will take, say text box. I will say name ASP colon text box run at equal to server id equal to txt name. Make sense? Suppose I want to draw a drop down line break br I am giving, so that all the controls will not merge together. So after name I want to take a drop down, suppose. Okay, I will take something like course. Why not we will see what we have taken here. Roll number, name, marks, result. I think all are text box field only. No problem. Let's insert into this table only. We'll take a drop down for result. One drop down will have pass and fail. Marks will take one text box. Name will take one text box. Anyway, roll number we are not sending, right? Roll number is auto incremented. So one text box for name, one text box for marks, one drop down for result. Let's take that much at a time, not necessary to think everything. So name, marks, one more text box I wanted called txt marks, then I will take a drop down called course. What is that? Result, right? Result. Okay. So drop down will be like this: ASP colon drop down list run at equal to again server id equal to something drp say result. Better to take this kind of meaningful id. drp because it's a drop down, result because it's for result. You just press enter here. If it is a drop down list, radio button list, checkbox list, okay, list means you have to enter here, and you tell me how many list item you want to keep. So you have to write like this: ASP colon list item. Inside list you are writing list item. Okay, so list item is the entity class, and drop down list is the generic collection class, guys. All of you know generic collection. You know, there also you are holding some entity class data inside a generic collection. Same thing you are doing, but the syntax is different. There you are saying drop down list obj equal to new drop down list. Then list obj1 equal to new list. Obj1 you are providing to obj. Something like that you are doing. But here designing wise you are exactly expressing same thing. So list item text equal to pass value equal to p. What is this? That means my user should see pass on the screen when he will click on that drop down, but when he select pass, p should go and save in the database. That is the meaning of this. If you want same thing to be saved, PASS, then no need for value equal to, only text equal to is enough. Sometimes what happens, we may store some code word, P for pass, F for fail, M for male, F for female, 1 for India, 2 for Australia, 3 for Sri Lanka. So like that you can have some code word. One is called result code, one is called result, actual result. So it depends. Since our result is already varchar, matlab string, so string can hold anything, PASS, anything. So in our case we are storing PASS, FAILED. It's okay, we will take text this time. Value is optional, but let it be there because you can come to know that two provisions are there. So if you don't want any code word to store, you can simply delete this part, value equal to, but text equal to is mandatory, guys. So if I'll run now on my drop down, PASS FAILED, this will be displayed, but when I will select pass, it will take P if I want. If I want text to be fetched and saved, then PASS will be go and save in the database. We have full freedom whether I want to save PASS or whether I want to save P. What else required actually? Date no need to enter because we have already defined as default date. Roll number also no need to enter because we have already defined it as auto incremented roll number 1 2 3 4 5 6. Have you never seen drop down list? Any website, when you click one particular arrow mark, some 10 item, 20 item, it comes, that is called drop down list. So we want to draw that kind of thing. Okay, drop down list, radio button list. Radio button, have you seen? Small circles, male one circle, female one circle. If you click, then male will be selected. That is called radio button list. Checkbox list, square items. Suppose language, English, one small square button. Hindi, small square button. When you select it, tick mark will come there. That is called checkbox list. Okay. So this time we are using drop down list. Let's take only these 3 items because our table needs 3 items only. Going forward later sometime we will see how to draw a radio button, how to draw checkbox and so on. So let's take these 3 things as per our requirement. Then we will have a simple button here, so that we will submit that button and the data will go and save in the database. So here I will say ASP colon button run at equal to server ID equal to btn submit text equal to submit or save, whatever you want to display on the button. If you come to this design area, can you see below 3 things? Source, where we are currently typing, design, where you can see the output of that source code. It will look like this. Okay, can you see the drop down? So it will look like this when we will execute the program. That is called design. Split means above it will be coding, below it will be design. That means the moment you are going on typing here something, it will go on showing below also. That is called split. Split source code above and design below. Most of times you will type in source code because you are developer. So now on click of this button, I want to do something to happen, right? So come to source or split or design, anywhere. You see that button, can you see? Save, SAV. Just double click that button. Like yesterday we got something called page load. Similarly, one more thing came called button click. Yesterday means this page I am talking about, home page. Page load, we wrote the coding, right? Why we wrote the code in page load yesterday? Because our intention was When the load of the page will happen, that time fetch and display should happen. But today I'm going to do it in the button click. So suddenly it created button btn submit, whatever the ID of that button. My button ID is btn submit underscore click. Can you see automatically it provided on click equal to btn submit underscore click. There is some delegate concept involved behind this. If you remember in delegate chapter we discussed, there is something called event based delegate. Two variety we have seen in our delegate chapter. One more variety we discussed to talk about it later in ASP.NET or MVC. So this time it is there, but okay, we will not focus our topic towards that. We will come to that later. What do you mean by delegate? How does the event function is providing the address to it? What exactly it does and all that we'll see later. Just as of now you understand that the moment you double click that button, it will provide this command called on click equal to so and so function address. It will come here. That function will be defined here. In this function only you are going to write the coding. So let's copy paste yesterday's coding, then modify it so that it will be faster. Should I copy paste this? I will copy paste. I have told you use try catch if you want to handle the exception. I'm not giving try catch, you can give it. So why it is showing error? Who can say? Respective namespaces has been not used. So system dot, or you have already typed, why you will waste time? Why not will go there and copy all 3 lines? Now no error. Grid view, this is not required because in second screen we don't have anything called grid view because we have form, right? I deleted that grid view things. Step 4, total 4 steps. Now see how I am doing connected architecture. First and second step exactly same. First and second step exactly same. One new thing today I am telling you, this select star from student you have written directly in C# coding only, but better to write in database as a stored procedure. So what I'm doing, I'm coming to database and I'm writing a stored procedure for inserting the data. So what I will do, I will create a new query here and I will create a stored procedure. How to create a stored procedure? Have a look how I'm doing. Create procedure, procedure name. Procedure name I will give it as insert student data, something like that. Then you have to type as, then you have to type begin, and after some lines you say end. Between begin and end you have to write the coding actually, and whatever parameter you want to pass from C# to SQL Server you have to do that here just below insert data. So how many parameters you are sending actually here? 3 parameter. What is that? Name, marks and result. So name will be represented as @name, then you write varchar 100, same varchar what you have mentioned there. Similarly marks will be represented as @marks, then say decimal 18,2. Result will be represented as @result and make it as varchar 10. Exactly same decimal, same varchar what you have defined here. Only @ you put. This is called parameter. Like your function takes some parameter, right? Give the area, give the radius as parameter, find this area as result. Similarly, your stored procedure is taking 3 parameter from C#. And those 3 parameters it will supply to the table command is like this: insert into table name. Table name is students. Whichever column you are supplying, you write those column names here: name, comma, marks, comma, result. Actually, this kind of classes, 1 hour is not enough, guys. So probably we cannot complete this today. We will continue next class. So let's finish at least backend operation. Insert into table name, whichever fields, 3 fields, then say values. In the same sequence, you write the parameters: @name, comma, @marks, comma, @result. So not necessarily much gap to give, but it should be between begin and end. One gap is okay, like this. It will look good. Then run it. It will say command executed successfully. That means I created a stored procedure. This is called stored procedure. I created a stored procedure, and this stored procedure I will copy, just like we use function in C#, right? One function will have some coding, and we are calling it from main, something like that. Insert student data is available in the SQL Server. I am calling that here. I am calling that here. That means two process. Either you could have written completely this line there itself in this double code, or you keep that line in a stored procedure and bring that stored procedure name and plug it here. If it is so, then you have to remind your compiler that this time what I am giving within this double code, that is not the real command, that is a stored procedure, and that stored procedure is containing the command actually. Then you have to say com.command type equal to command type dot stored procedure. If you are not writing anything, then like yesterday, it will understand this is the command. But this is not a valid command, right? Select or insert or delete or update. It's not like that. It is simply ABCD, XYZ, anything. So you have to remind that don't consider this as the command. You consider it as a stored procedure, so that you visit to that stored procedure, then you execute whatever you want to execute it. This is more secure, guys, comparing to yesterday's inline query. This is called inline query. Inline query or inline command. This is called stored procedure. In short form, we say stored proc. 2 steps we did. Another 2 steps we have to correct. But I think we have to continue next class. These topics are little bigger topics, guys, so we cannot finish. So unnecessary, I don't want to be hurry. So only 2 steps we did. One is which connection to proceed, no change, exactly same as yesterday. One is which command to fire, almost no change, except within double code, instead of writing insert into something something, update something something, or select something something, you simply said stored procedure name. Even yesterday's command also, if you want to keep inside a stored procedure, this line, absolutely fine. You can put that stored procedure name here. Either directly add the command or keep that command in a stored procedure and mention that here. Okay. So we will continue rest of the operations in insert next class. Once insert is ready, update and delete will be easier for you to understand, because it will be carbon copy of this. So I have another class after this. So we will stop it here, guys. See you next class.